I had always had an aspiration to spend some time working in the US. I did play-by-play work nationally across the BBC network back in the UK, mainly doing soccer, but I also worked on events like track and field. And I bumped into somebody one day at a Premier League game on New Year's Day 2020, John Champion, the broadcaster for ESPN. And then before I knew it, I had a text message from somebody here in Nashville saying, I gather you might be interested in a very fast turnaround and a very quick decision in your life, and maybe coming over and being our play-by-play commentator. My wife said, yeah, let's go for it. And before I knew it, they'd offered me the chance to come out here to try and be an all-encompassing kind of commentator that, explains the game to those who haven't watched a lot of soccer, but also who brings an authority to the game as well for those fans in America who, are huge soccer fans. There's a fantastic fan base of soccer fans in this country, and that's probably something that maybe I've been more surprised about. The depth of knowledge, the level of interest amongst the core soccer fans over here is really, really strong.
Nashville SC's sudden rise in the MLS ranks has been one of the league's most exciting and inspiring stories. A story that's been narrated game by game and play-by-play by their lead commentator, Tony Husband. So how did an acclaimed BBC analyst from Devon end up in the booth in Nashville, Tennessee?
Well, I always loved sports, there's no doubt about that. And I suppose when you're growing up and you're a little kid, you want to be that sportsman. But I always think of sports journalism as being for the mass population who, are not good enough to be professional sports people. The next best thing is to be probably in broadcasting and actually calling the action. The biggest actual influence on being into sports journalism for me, though, really comes from my family. Both my parents are journalists, and my late grandfather was a distinguished journalist in the UK for a national newspaper. He covered every World Cup soccer from 1958 to 1986. So if you can't grow up inspired by that, you can't be inspired by anything. And I mean, I just looked at that and just said, I want to do that. I'm a real creature of habit. I like to leave early, drive down through, past Printer's Alley, see people out enjoying themselves. The tailgate is something that we don't really get so much of in the UK. I think it's great. I mean, all the food and the games that people are playing and the fact that they get to the ground so early. Culturally, that's quite different from England. Good afternoon. How are you? Tony Husband. For me, there's nothing more fun than capturing the moment and the joy, the emotion, the raw drama and passion of live sports. Every goal call you put down is a moment in the club's history, and you want to get that right. Really like it at this point. There's nobody else here. Nice and quiet. Just get on with my thing. If you fail to prepare, then you have to prepare to fail. Every game is like revising for a school exam. It's days, hours of reading, watching game film, and then really trying to remember a lot of it. And here we are, the booth. Soccer's such a fast game. You can write everything down, you can have it on your boards, and you certainly do have a lot of information at your fingertips. But with it all happening so fast out there on the field, often you don't have a lot of time to actually look down at notes and things. So really you're writing those notes down so that you remember a lot of it, so it sinks in, so that if you do need it, it comes out instinctively during the call. Last year was a challenging year. I didn't meet Jamie for months. We were actually doing some practice commentaries with me in the UK and Jamie here in America, and we were using Zoom, and we were doing old MLS games just to get that rapport going.
Yeah, Tony knows.
Yeah, that matter?
I'll come over here. Let me just put my arm around you here.
There's no inferiority about height over here in this team.
My job is to explain the why. Tony gets to do the what happened, and I get to explain to you why it happened. All week we've gone and done our homework about the players, games played, games started, both this season and in their career, and a little bit of facts about them.
You can have the storylines and ideas about what the game might be about, and then it's so unpredictable out there that actually the storyline by the end could be something completely different. And that's where your depth of knowledge of the team really comes in. Because if somebody comes out of nowhere and is the hero, You know, you need to know a little bit about them and you need to be able to react to their story.
Just gives a little bit more context. Subtly, one more line in there really sells just how great and special some of these players are.
Decades of experience, weeks of research, hundreds of notes, all for 90 minutes of action.
Things move pretty quickly, actually. Things come up, people want to talk to you. The phone is pinging all the time with information. You have to go down to the truck, watch some of the films that they've made. And then fans are coming in. And then you just feel the vibe and the electricity just builds a bit and your adrenaline starts to flow a bit. And then before you know it, you've done a rehearsal and then you're live.
Drew Fisher gets us underway, and as the rain falls, it is soccer time in Tennessee.
The chemistry that Tony and I have and that we share with Kelly Glendenning down on the sideline is one where everybody else wants to see the others succeed. It's really great having somebody like Tony. He does a remarkable job of making sure that everybody else gets their opportunity to shine, and he tries to go about his business in an unassuming way when really he is sort of the star of this show.
And then it comes back again and it's saved again.
You have to be alert all the time. You've got other things going on. You're hearing the producer and the director in your ear sometimes, so you might know that there's something you've got to do for the broadcast that's coming up. But while you're doing that, you're always keeping your attention firmly focused on the game.
Plays it back to Leal. Randall Leal for Nashville, paraded.
Tony comes with a BBC-trained background, and it doesn't get any more of a gold standard than that. So I look at him and think all the things he's accomplished, and I get to work with him week in and week out. I'd be silly to not just try to soak everything up, every moment, every little nuance that makes him the exceptional talent that he is.
The number one lesson in the game really is to never take your eyes off live play. You have to be watching what's going on because something can happen in an instant which changes the whole direction of the game.
And that's Sapong, and it is 1-1.
Every mile you put on the clock, you're learning something about how you can improve your preparation, improve the use of language, the description of something. It's a never-ending quest to call the perfect game.
On the next Dream Together, we get a front row view of the stories, the struggles, and the resilience of the man calling the shots from the sidelines.